Inside Out was an animated film about our emotions, specifically anger, fear, joy, and disgust. It was aired in 2015 by Pixar Animation Studios, and it featured a young teenage girl who was experiencing her first hormonal changes of feelings as she grew. For exactly 95 minutes, it showed some of the iconic characters who we are going to look at today, and everyone behind the voices and where they are as of now. And we shall begin with the happiest character known as Joy, who was among the main characters and emotions of a young girl called Riley. She was mostly the leader of other emotions, and was the one responsible for bringing happiness and positive feelings to the girl. She always looked at the bright side of things, and was by far the most optimistic and confident of all the other emotions. And since Riley was still a child, Joy was always the one who was expected to produce the pleasure side of life to the kid. One of the purest feelings voiced by Amy Poehler, who is an actress and comedian, and has been active since 1995. Now she is blessed with 2 children, and is mostly focused on the comedy side of life. And the other feeling was Disgust, who was among the 5 original emotions of Riley. She was mostly active when Riley was eating disgusting foods like broccoli and mushrooms, and just like her name, she always appeared disgusted by everything, and was a very stubborn and a very annoyed little girl feeling. She was snoozy and impatient with Riley, especially when the other feelings like joy and anger were in the mix. And apart from food, she was also disgusted with school and the apartment that Riley relocated in. It was Mindy Kaling who voiced this feeling, and we can also remember her in The Office and for also creating and voicing the Velma show. Bong was not one of the major characters, and was just the imaginary friend of Riley who existed within her mind. He was created during the early childhood of Riley, but as Riley grew up, she stopped playing with him, and this left Bong out of a job and feeling a bit lonely. And during his lonely times, he gathered all the happy memories that he had with Riley, and was seen missing their good old days together. Voiced by Richard Kind, who is one of the greatest actor and voice actor of our time. He has been active since 1978, and is blessed with 3 children. He was in tears when he voiced Bong, because he related so much with how he was left alone by Riley. Fear was another major feeling of Riley. He was the purple emotion whose job was to keep Riley safe from danger. He was always on the lookout for potential disasters, and always spent time evaluating the possible dangers and risks involved in Riley's everyday activities. And of all the emotions, fear was the most prepared and ready for anything that could go wrong to Riley. Sometimes he overreacted to minor things that Riley did, but was the one who kept Riley in check and far from danger. Bill Hader voiced Fear, and is an American actor, comedian, and producer, and his upcoming movie is called The Cat in the Hat, which is one of the few movies he's directed and produced. Anger was the red emotion and the major character in the show who was supposed to make Riley fume when things were not going her way. He was the one who made sure that things were fair for Riley, and also exploded when things didn't go as planned. He was quick to overreact, and had little patience for life's imperfections. He didn't make his moves when Riley was a child, and only appeared at puberty when Riley was a teenage mess. He was voiced by Lewis Black, who is a well-known stand-up comedian and an actor, and you might remember him in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, where he voiced Ricky Owens. Sadness was a blue emotion who mostly acted as the voice of reason to Riley, and she was mostly depressed, so the other emotions never gave her an exact role until the ending of the film. She always degraded herself, and was never confident as an emotion. And unlike Joy, she was shy and pessimistic, and was always seen lying on the ground when Riley was feeling down. And at the end of the film, when she was given a chance, we saw that she was intelligent and more thoughtful than the other emotions. Phyllis Smith voiced her, and we remember her in The Office playing the role of the shy salesman known as Phyllis. Riley's dad was called Bill Anderson, and he also had the emotion of anger. We saw him in the scene where a boy named Jordan came to pick Riley for a date, and the anger emotion in Dad was trying to figure out Jordan's intentions towards the girl. He was voiced by Pete Docter, an American filmmaker and animator who is also the chief creative officer of Pixar, and he was one of the people responsible for creating this film. When Riley was just a child, she first created joy because she was happy to see her parents. And then next she created sadness a few seconds later, then disgust and then fear. Anger came a little bit later. There is not much to say about the baby, but the few giggles and sounds she produced were made by Mary Gibbs, who is an American voice actress and is popularly known for voicing Boo in the Pixar animated film known as Monsters, Inc. Now, Riley was generally the host of the emotions which we talked about, and was a girl who was driven by her emotions for the whole film. She was happy just like any other kid, and sometimes a little bit shy and uncertain of herself. And as she grew up, the emotion of sadness was the one in control, and Riley was mostly troubled and lonely. The beautiful Caitlin Diaz voiced her, and is an American actress and an upcoming writer. And now let's look at a blue-green mind worker known as Fritz. He was the one responsible for installing upgrade consoles like Puberty, and only appeared at the end of the film where he was seen explaining to the emotions about Riley's puberty. Voiced by John Ratzenberger, who is also a legend for voicing Ham in the Toy Story franchise and the Abominable Snowman in the Monsters, Inc. franchise. And to add just 4 more characters, Billy was the father to Riley and the wife to Jill Anderson. And in school, Riley had a classmate who was one of the cool girls in school, and Riley seemed to always envy her. Jill was the mother we mentioned, and she had the exact emotions as her daughter Riley. And finally Jangles the clown, who was one of Riley's darkest fears. He was a giant clown with blue hair and a white face, and also had a creepy smile like the Joker.